Musstet ihr euch arg verstellen, um das spielen zu können?
Was it really easy for you to get into the role that was for you, or was it a little off and you had to like work to get into that role?
Well, for most actors it would be easy. For me, it took a little while. How long do I go before you translate? Is it like the UN? Is it like one sentence at a time?
Ich verstehe es auf Englisch.
They all have had English since the first grade.
Oh,
They're
God.
just shy.
Oh, you think so? You get a couple drinks in you, you're talking English. Okay, so
6 languages. It's amazing.
it's unbelievable. That's why. Okay. You know, for me personally, I got into the role as the seasons happened, and the character developed quite a bit too. So before each season, I would, especially in the latter seasons, I would make a choice with the character. You know, he can't react to the same things the same way. It just doesn't make sense. And sometimes the creators would want me to just kind of stay the same. For instance, I was no longer afraid or surprised when someone would morph. So that was a decision. And
Vogue.
I think Nick became much darker and much more empowered as the seasons went on, and kind of took to the role of kind of, you know, the leader against these things. These decent. So yeah. How about you, Toots?
I feel like Juliet was easier to kind of slip into, just because it just was easier for me. But Eve,
A warm bath.
I had a harder time with, because she didn't move very much. I always pretended there was a magnet on the top of my head and a magnet in the ceiling, so that I would stand really upright. She just kind of like, almost like her.
Let me say this. She's not going to say. So she had the hardest. Eve was the hardest character, because behind the scenes, the creators of the show would be like, okay, we want, 15% Juliet in this one, and 85% kind of bad Eve. And then like the next day it would be like, okay, so Eve's kind of good,
Yeah.
and she's like 50% Juliet now.
Yeah, that was
And so it was
rough.
very hard. It was a weird.
It was
notes.
like season 5 was easier because it was just Eve, but it was still hard because I'm very expressive and I talk with my hands and I knock stuff over all the time, and Eve was so
Ridiculous.
controlled, so it's very difficult for me. But yeah, season 6 it was really hard because they didn't really know what they wanted. They were like, a little bit of Juliet. No, that's too much. No, a little more. No, that's too much. Like the whole time. So that was just, I felt like I was just winging it until they finally got a good.
Well, that's the bell, guys. Sorry.
We have time for one last. No, I know, but it came quick. We have time for one last question.
Love it, guys.
So who wants to
It
have the
better be
last
good.
question? Well, over here, young man.
Sir, how's it going, brother?
Hello, you both.
Hi.
I've got a question for you both. What's your favorite TV series, apart from Grimm, of course?
Ooh, I was just do you guys watch this BBC series called Broadchurch?
Yes, of course.
Detective series. I just finished season 3 last night. I love Olivia Colman and David Tennant, so I really like that. And then there's a Netflix series I love called Happy Valley.
I don't know this, but...
It's good. It's another kind of like detective show. And I also love Game of Thrones.
Woo!
I know, but don't tell me it, because I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, so I don't want to hear it.
Game of Thrones is what unites humanity.
Yeah.
It's like what people in America can talk to without getting an argument. Okay, it's always hard to figure out the most favorite, so I'll go to the thing that made me want to move to Los Angeles. Was like, I was at a time in my life where I didn't know what I wanted to do, which is, you know, anyway. But I was watching the BBC Office, and I was just like, this is something I must do. And of course, I played a character for 6 years that had nothing to do with any kind of comedy, but the BBC's Office with Ricky Gervais kind of.
We noticed
I go back constantly to that show.
We noticed here in Germany, it's called Stromberg.
What is it called?
Stromberg.
What does that mean?
It's an adaptation of The Office.
Oh, really? Oh, so it's not the actual
it's a
British.
name. Yeah.
Got it. So it's the German version of The Office.
Of course.
Have you guys seen the British version of The Office? Guys, it is. I mean, it's subtle, and maybe language would kind of screw with things, but it is a work of genius. His character is a work of genius. And I would watch it all with all of you right now. It's only like 10, 12 episodes of the entire thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to wrap this all up.
Have you ever seen Bitsy, a more handsome group of people in your entire life? Look at these beautiful faces. Elect me, Chancellor. Sorry.
Actually, I didn't want to end with me because I'm boring. But
I disagree, sir.
no,
You're Kevin from Portland who moved here for love.
yeah, love. Yeah. I would like to give you guys the opportunity because there's lots of questions and lots of things, and sometimes you're forced into questions. But I'm sure that you came a long way to see your fans, and maybe you have a message, something you'd like to say to them.
We always just like to tell the fans thank you because without you, we never would have gone 6 seasons, and people were just very...
Look each of them in the eye.
People were quite loyal, and at one point I remember, I don't know, I mean, if it was the same in Europe, but in the States, NBC was moving us around a little bit, season 1, and it was like a Friday night at 9, another Friday at 8, a Thursday at 10, and sometimes, like, fans are just like, all right, I give up, the show's moved, but everybody just found us, and they figured, everybody was quite loyal, and we just feel like we have the best fans in the world, and to be able to do 123 episodes in this day and age with television, usually people do maybe 10, 13 a season, so we feel very grateful and thankful.
Bitsy's my paid spokesperson. I would just say thank you for letting us pull from your culture, bastardize it, not do it well, and thank you for still watching, even though you're probably rolling your eyes about 10 times an episode. Like these Americans. So thank you, and you know, when we're shooting television shows, we were alone in a warehouse by a river in Oregon for 6 years. So you forget that there's an audience, and it's just so lovely to see. Again, the sexiest faces I've ever seen in one courtyard, in one castle, in my entire life. So thank you guys so much.
Woo!